Hello and a warm welcome to the Forbes India Voices of Excellence podcast. I'm your host Gaurav Chaudhary. This podcast series is aimed at creating an engaging and insightful platform that showcases the stories, journeys, and expertise of individuals from diverse fields, including business, sports, entrepreneurship, and SMEs. By featuring a broad spectrum of voices, the podcast will serve as a platform to inspire, inform, and entertain Forbes India's sophisticated audience. For this episode, I'm delighted to have Mukul Rustagi, CEO and co-founder of Classplus. Classplus is India's leading edtech startup company that offers a mobile-first SaaS platform that provides a platform to the content creator with their curriculum and operations completely online. Classplus's mission is to empower every teacher in India and enable them to create their digital identity with their own branded app and grow their business across the country. Mukul is heading Classplus's operations with offices in Noida, Bangalore, and Abu Dhabi. He has been working relentlessly to digitize education in India by helping creators launch and scale their online coaching businesses. With experience spanning over a decade, Mukul has been focused on building modern digital distribution platforms and teams of experienced professionals across nations. Mukul's expertise includes business strategy, product innovation in edtech, and establishing solopreneurs, teacherpreneurs, and videopreneurs. His entrepreneurial journey and contributions towards education sector have earned him accolades, including the prestigious Forbes 30 Under 30 list in the education sector. Welcome to the Forbes India Voices of Excellence podcast, Mukul. Delighted to have you on the show.
Thank you, Gaurav. It's a pleasure to be here and would love to share nuggets about our journey and the learnings across the years here. Gaurav.
Mukul, we have heard a lot about the success of Classplus and how you launched the company as a solution for hyperlocal coaching centers and their entrepreneurial owners to run their entire coaching stack on a single digital platform. Can you tell us how you evolved over the years? How have you managed to evolve this over the years and expanded your focus beyond coaching centers to developing a completely content creator driven economy in this space? Mukul?
Yeah, so we had a very simple thought that we realized that in India, the brand of a teacher is bigger than the brand of the institution they work for. And this has been going on for like decades now. India is anyway an economy where people trust people rather than the product itself. And education being such a critical life choice, we fundamentally had a belief that people don't want to take, like unlike food, fashion, apparel, people don't want to take a risk with their tutoring choices or their education choices, and they want to only go with the tried and tested sources of learning. And that is where we said that it's impossible that a group of or a platform of 100 to 100 teachers can teach the entire country, because like everybody has their own niche, everybody has their own accent, every geography has their own hyper local champions, and in every mohalla there are like another set of 15-20 hyper local superstars, and these are the ones like whether they're teaching offline or whether teaching online on YouTube. But every creator, every teacher in India has their own niche basis on what they teach, in what language do they teach, what does their accent look like, how does their classroom engagement looks like. And that is why India as a country has like a million of these people who are controlling who are controlling small pockets of their own fandom. And we realize that a lot of these creators and educators are essentially able to garner huge amounts of followership on social media, whether it's social media or whether it's platforms like Telegram, WhatsApp. They have a very large cult following, but they're not able to monetize it beyond a point. And most of them are actually dependent on ad revenues on these platforms, which are very variable and which also which are also variable, which are also low, and which also keep going lower with time. So we said that this is not going to be a sustainable thing for them, and it won't do justice to all the hard work that creators do when they build their curriculum, content, following, and their regular routines. And that is where we said that what if we can give them a tech stack where they can do everything related to running their online coaching business? how can we help them monetize their social media following by helping them sell their online courses. So what essentially B2C companies do for themselves by building a tech, by building a demand, by building a delivery mechanism, and by building a payment capture mechanism. And like all B2C companies sell courses ultimately, like that's the crux of it. So we said, why can't we replicate that tech for every individual creator out there in the world who might be teaching anything in any part of the world to any kind of audience? So we technically, jokingly, we internally used to say that we are the CTO slash CPO of every creator out there in the world. And our job is to give them the tech that is required for themselves to run their online coaching business. Now, whether it is a tech around taking their live classes and we build something like a Zoom for them, or we build them a repository where they can host their online classes and notes, or we build for them an online test engine, or we build for them a ledger where they can keep track of their payments, or we get them a payment gateway. Like every single thing that a small business owner who's running their content business, we thought that we'll give them on a single stack to every creator out there in the world, and we'll white label it by their own brand name, because our job is to make the creator look more powerful and more beautiful. And that's why we don't have any longingness to give them a stack which is called by our own brand. So that is why we are one of the very few companies in the world who essentially white label their product as per their customers need, and our customer, who's the creator out there, can essentially use that to monetize his social media following, run his online coaching business, and sell courses to students across the world.
Absolutely, Mukul. Mukul, if you could please elaborate about Classplus's role in enabling and strengthening the content creator economy in India with some relevant examples. Just a few illustrations probably will help our listeners understand it better. Mukul?
Yeah, so it's a very beautiful question, and it has given us very beautiful stories over the last few years. So while we started off as a platform where teachers could, so let's say there's a teacher who has a 500,000 subscriber base on YouTube or Insta wherever, and tomorrow they want to monetize their base better by selling them online courses. So they can come to us, ClassPlus, and we'll give them a mobile app and a website which will be by their own name. So for example, if Gaurav is running a large YouTube channel or a large online community and Gaurav wants to monetize it by selling online courses, Gaurav will come to ClassPlus and we'll give them a stack, and Gaurav can choose to name it whatever. He can name it Gaurav Learning Classes, he can name it Gaurav Online Coaching, or he can just put a random name, like anything. So Gaurav chooses that name and we give them a mobile app and a website which is called by that name. And then Gaurav starts putting all their content and all their classes and start making bundles of courses. And like any other B2C company, Gaurav also becomes an entrepreneur in himself, because now he has his own tech, now he has his own brand, he has his own website, and he has his own content which he'll put. Think of it this way: ClassPlus will help Gaurav essentially set up his own D2C business of content, right? And so Gaurav essentially becomes a creatorpreneur or a solopreneur, however you call it. And then once Gaurav goes to his social media and tells people that, hey, now even if you can't come to my offline classes, here is what all the content that I've put for you, and you can come to my websites and app and purchase it. Then students across the world can essentially come to Gaurav's website or app and they can purchase content. And that is as simple as we have made it for everybody. And now, interesting part is we started like 5-6 years back, actually more than 6 years back now. We started with making this for teachers who are teaching maths, UPSC, IIT, JEE, and stuff like that. But interestingly, what has happened over the last 3 years, especially post COVID wave 2, that we are now seeing people from all streams of life who are turning into content creators and then later on creatorpreneurs. There are people from such diverse fields who are now starting to launch their online coaching business. Now, for example, in Himachal Pradesh, we have a farmer who is essentially teaching apple farming to all the hyperlocal farmers by giving out online courses on how to run an apple orchard better. This was so phenomenal because he was a full-time farmer. Then he tried this. I think within 2-3 months of launching his app, he actually made more money than he would make in an year from farming. And then he realized that this is better because he can make more money. Second, it is much lesser physically intensive than what he used to do. And thirdly, he could create impact by sharing whatever he has learned about apple farming with like hundreds and thousands of people. So from both money, time, and impact, this turned out to be a better ROI for him. And that is why he absolutely left farming. And now he runs a full-fledged online store and an online coaching business on how to build an apple farm for the rest of the farmers. Similarly, we have people who are now teaching fitness and yoga through their apps and websites to all parts of the country and the world. We have seen people who are teaching as unique courses, like right from teaching Microsoft Excel to teaching coding to teaching personality development to teaching spoken English to teaching languages to teaching dieting and so much more. Like, name a field and there would be some creator who has already built a business by delivering high quality content to all parts of the world, using Classplus's stack as a backend infra. And I think that is what gives us the most amount of thrill. The kind of, like, for example, two of our customers went to Shark Tank this year. One of those customers was a customer called Raja Rani Coaching, who essentially teaches stitching, like stitching and tailoring. Now, people can't even imagine that is as big a TAM as it might sound, but they launched sometime over last year. Within 9 months, they went on to clocking more than 1 crore rupees every month. And I'm saying every month without without any paid ads, without anything, because the power of content and community was so large. And by that time, they actually also went to Shark Tank. So within a span of 12 months, the entire journey, their entire life actually flipped. They went from running an offline boutique to probably running an online coaching business, which made them like 8, 10x more money in a much lesser, in a much lighter environment. And they also went to Shark Tank, and all of that by teaching something as niche, as tailoring and stitching. And I think that is the beautiful part of Indian creator economy, that there is
Absolutely.
an audience for everybody and there is an instructor for everybody.
Very, very insightful and interesting examples, because it also tells you how the creator economy functions through the community network, and how scalability actually comes through. Just to understand one thing, Mukul, what are the key highlights of your strategic collaboration with Gyan Live and Testbook? If you can just tell us briefly what is the nature of this collaboration and what you are actually looking at, Mukul.
Yes, absolutely. So with GanLive and Testbook both, I think we felt that these are two very powerful platforms, and we decided to build up minority financial positions in both of the companies. So it was a pseudo strategic slash financial investment from the side of Classplus. And both of them have like their own pockets. For example, Testbook is extremely dominant in UP and Bihar, and they're very much known for their SSC examinations content. So every brand in India, every brand in India is either very popular in a category or they're very popular in a geography. Generally, you won't see education brands which span the width of being extremely popular in both multiple categories and multiple geographies. I think with Testbook, I think we started off as a financial investment, and Testbook had a great product which is called Testbook Pass, and it is a Netflix kind of a subscription for students who are preparing for Sarkari exams. And India has like a lot of Sarkari exams. Like, if you want to do any government job in India, you most probably have to go through a government job exam. So there are like more than 1,000 such examinations that we have found out. And so Testbook made this very unique product called Testbook Pass, which which is a subscription for any student to practice infinite number of mock tests for any examinations infinite times, right? And we said that this is a great product, and we should take this, like, it is already a very large product. More than 2 million students purchase that product every year in India, which is phenomenal. I don't know of any other product which is purchased by more than 2 million people every year, and that is without a sales team. Zero sales team in that. I think we saw that's a very unique product, and if we can take that to more masses in the country via our teachers, because we have such a large distribution and such a large network of teachers, and they also like offering test series to their students, which is not a financially very great outcome for them because it takes a lot of time for a educator to curate and make test series. So we thought that via teachers who are interested, can we take this to the masses of the country and bring impact to more students who would want to do online practice during their prep for government examinations. I think that was a very that was the core of where we started from. Can we help the students of our educators via and also take this product deeper into the country. So that was the core thought of how we started with textbook, and obviously then as we started liking the team and we started liking the business, we started doing more stuff. With Gan Live also it was very similar. I think they were doing some fantastic job in the Gujarat in the Gujarat space, again like catering to their top government examinations. And we said that between Gyan Live and Textbook, there can be some synergies because both of them are consumer brands, both of them are targeting one particular geography and one particular category. So Gyan Live had less to do with like any kind of synergies with Classplus, but more these two brands. And we had learned some good things in Textbook because it had grown to such a massive scale.
Absolutely.
And so Gyan Life began as a financial investment and it is still that. So there's less of strategic over there. The strategic is mostly with Textbook itself.
Mukul, you have been a practitioner at a very young age of in the Indian education space. If I may ask you a very general question, what is your viewpoint on the current challenges facing the edtech sector? And we keep on seeing, reading, and watching a lot of news about the edtech sector. Some of these are, of course, for all the wrong reasons. How have you coped up with them, and what's your view?
Yeah, Gaurav, actually, it's a very relevant question in today's times. I think so. Obviously, like any good thing, it's very human tendency to exaggerate and show over love on any good thing, and then obviously be a little more critical on something which is not going well. I can tell you something. I don't know about other players. I will never comment on how any other player is doing because they know their stuff the best. I have no right and knowledge to do that. But I'll tell you something about the edtech industry overall that I've seen over the last 5 years, and especially post COVID. While people might keep doubting that like online penetration is not happening and people have gone back to COVID and people have gone back to coaching after the COVID days. Now that is true, but that is very partially true. Like the way we have seen, and especially in Class Plus, the trend that we have seen, we have hardly seen any quarter where our engagement numbers and our MAUs and the time spent by users on the platform has ever come down. And we always used to think that people are saying so much about edtech, but our creators are getting deeper into the audiences. They are seeing more enrollments. What is really happening? And we found out a very interesting thing. We realized that only 25 to 30% of all the relevant audience in India ever had the accessibility and affordability to take an offline coaching. The rest 70%, either they come from extremely tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 areas where there are not good setups possible, or they had to migrate to a different city to essentially do their coaching for whatever thing or to learn anything. Or there would be a segment who wants to go to, let's say, offline coaching, but they can't afford to do it. Or let's say there would be a segment like you or me or probably our parents who want to learn a very quick thing. We might want to learn photography, we might want to learn yoga, or we might want to learn fitness, but we can't obviously leave our lifestyle for it. So we obviously have to do it online. And I think for this large segment, online is actually the only way they can learn in a very cost effective manner. So only for pockets who were forced to go online because they could not go offline, only they returned back to offline when COVID went back, which is like 25-30% of the total TAM. The rest 70% TAM with people like who are either from extremely tier 3, tier 4 areas or who can't afford offline stuff, or people like you and me who want to learn something on the fly. Like we absolutely never had the option to do anything else before COVID. And what COVID and everything unlocked is the opportunity for people like us who can essentially now go online and actually learn anything that we want in life at a very affordable cost. And I think that is the real beneficiary of the entire edtech wave that has happened. And anybody who has targeted this wave, anybody who has served this base with all their humility and love, any founder who has put their hearts out and like committed themselves to serving this audience, they've essentially seen their businesses grow. And I think that is where we as a company have been very fortunate that we're building a stack which served Bharat. Like 78% of our end users are still from tier 2 and tier 3. We
Right.
call ourselves a very non-metro, non-sexy, like
Yeah.
it's a stack built for Bharat.
Yeah.
And a lot of Bharat never had the option to go offline. And I think via serving our teachers, like our teachers are the real superheroes, our creators are the real superheroes who are serving this large masses of Bharat. And we are blessed that we can play a small part in their journey by helping them build their tech and product infra. So I think that is why I'm extremely bullish on edtech. Think love it or hate it, but it's impossible to imagine a life without it. And one more thing, Gaurav, I'll just take a
Yeah.
few seconds on it. There's a difference between negative growth and slower growth. I think people sometimes confuse that. EdTech obviously grew so fast in COVID that it was impossible for it to like keep as much pace. So obviously, like every cycle, like for example, wallets saw a very large adoption when demonetization happened 8 years back. Obviously, after that, wallets still kept on growing, but at a slower rate. I think that is what is happening with EdTech also. Like it grew so fast that any speed that it grows today will look slower than that time, which is true, but it is not growing negatively. The TAM is
Right.
all increasing every year. Probably it
Absolutely.
was growing 3x every year during COVID. Now it is probably growing 50% every year. But there is still growth, and that compounds over a period of 8, 10 years. And
Yeah. Yeah.
because of EdTech, India will look very different over the next 10 years compared to how it has looked over the last 10 years. That is what we are also chasing for.
Your Class Plus has also ventured into offline education through the Polaris School of Technology. What prompted you to do that? Can you briefly, very briefly, tell us about it?
So we're not venturing into offline education. We started Polaris with a very different thought. We said that we noticed that traditionally what computer science engineers, what they learn in colleges, in traditional colleges, and what who they learn it from is very different from what they're really expected to do in their jobs. And we know that because over the last 5, 6 years, we've probably had more than like 400 engineers in our lifetime. And every time, and especially when a young engineer comes in, they go through a 3, 6, 9 month period of on-the-job training where they keep on learning new stack and what works here. And we said that it's impossible for college grads to learn this because tech is a very dynamic industry, and every 2, 3 years there is a new syntax, there is a new tech stack, there's a new technology which becomes very common. So it's very hard for a traditional college to cope up with it and keep up with it at all times. Yes, they try, but like it is very yes, they try, but it's hard for them. Whereas as an industry platform, for us, it is very easy because we build those platforms and use those technologies and stacks every now and then. So we said
Correct.
that why can't we partner with a university? And we chose to partner with MSU, which is the Medhavi Skills University. And we said, can we make an integrated program for these 4 year computer science graduates where we can get real life professionals who are working in companies like Amazon, Microsoft, Google to come and
Yeah.
take classes, teach them exactly what they're working on in their real lives. So these industry professionals coming in, teaching them exactly what they are doing in their daily jobs. And rather than waiting for completing 4 years before getting industry experience, can we essentially make them ready enough that within a couple of years they're good enough for any industry to absorb them and they get some experience of that while in college itself. And that is why we also chose the city of Bangalore to basically rather than opening the program in some 100 kilometers away from our employment hub, we said that let's put the campus in the main in the core hub of Bangalore because that is where all the tech opportunities and networks are. And can these students essentially learn whatever they are supposed to do in their
Yeah.
jobs
Yeah.
during
Yeah.
the program itself? So yeah, that
Absolutely.
was the small gist, Gaurav.
Mukul, finally, a final question. And as a young founder, you are a role model for many upcoming entrepreneurs. What is your message to them in view of the experience that you have gained? Mukul, very briefly.
Yeah, I think so I think entrepreneurship is a great journey. It builds a character first and foremost. It gives you massive exposure to experiences at a very young age. And it teaches you so much about your own self because it's not a 1 week or a 1 month or a 1 year journey. Like most probably it's more than a 1 decade journey. And you have to be really, really authentic with yourself first and then with everybody later to keep on going with it. The only thing that an entrepreneurship, like while it might be called, like people have reasons to believe that one should take entrepreneurship because it is glamorous and all. But no, it is what entrepreneurship really means is that you keep on doing the same things and solving the same problems again and again and again for probably many years of your lifetime. And most people choose entrepreneurship between 25 to 35, which are their also peak years of life. So I think it's a choice which is very worth it if you do it with all sincerity and authenticity. Yet, it has to align with what you really want to do in life. And becoming an entrepreneur for the wrong reasons is not the right thing. For example, you're thinking that we'll make a lot of money or we'll get really famous or we'll get a lot of PR coverage. I think all those things are not the reasons why people should essentially chase the journey, because once all of that is done, like what is the real mission and real purpose behind it? And it will take a lot of toll. It'll require you to do, like, you'll miss out on so many experiences because you'll be busy building your company. So I think that's what I've learned about entrepreneurship. It's a very conscious choice that people should take. It's a very rewarding one, very intellectually rewarding one. Like personally, I feel so much happy every night I sleep because I know that there are so many lives that we are able to impact every morning, that when we build out a platform, every time somebody learns through the platform, every time a creator makes more money, every time a creator essentially takes his lifestyle business to a next level altogether. Now, these are things I could have never bought with money in my life, right? And I think that is the real thrill and real excitement that keeps us going on because apart from scale and apart from all the numbers, the thing that will always remain with us is the kind of impact that we can bring to the country and the kind of life we can touch and the kind of possibilities we can make happen. Somebody, like, really, it's a very famous quote, I don't remember who said this, where good technology is indistinguishable from magic. And if we can bring that magic to like even a few people in the country, and now we can do to now today we do that at a very large scale. And I think that is the North Star, and that is the purest thrill that we get out of being entrepreneurs. And I think for everybody, that should be the North Star goal. Everything else, every other kind of success will just happen if it has to happen. And it will be sweet when it happens, but um, it is not the one to be optimized for. And I think real impact is what any entrepreneur should chase, and then just let the other things.
Absolutely, Mukul. Very well said. And thank you so much for taking the time out and dropping by to have this conversation with us.
Thanks a lot, Gaurav, for having me here, and thanks for all the patience when I would have probably overstressed my answers. Thank you.
That's it from us for this episode of Forbes India Voices of Excellence podcast, brought to you in association with Earshot. Stay tuned for more such conversations with leaders and pioneers from a diverse set of fields.